You should stop using Sass imports, not because I'm saying, it's because the Sass team has decided that it's getting deprecated in the future. So instead of using import rule, you should try to incorporate the use rule. So let's see how this works in practice. Let's start with a classic scenario. We have two colors, the primary and the secondary as variables, and they are defined inside the colors.sss file. We want to include those variables into components usually, so I have created a file called button component, so let's try to create it. And then usually we have a background color, which is a primary, and a foreground color, which I'm going to set it as a secondary. Let's pretend that those variables are not part of the global scope, so we have to import them. So let's try to use the import tool. Now we're trying to locate our colors file, and then this should work. But instead of using the import rule, which is getting deprecated, we're going to use the use rule. What this does is creates a namespace, and the namespace is a file name, and in this case, it's a colors file. So we're going to go here, and we're going to try to add everything under a namespace. So let's do colors.primary and secondary. And this will have the variables locally scoped inside here. Another cool thing is that we can change the namespace with an alias. So if you use as keyword and another word, this becomes a new alias. So in this case, colors, they can be replaced with just C. If you don't want to use a namespace at all, just like we have with the import, you can use the asterisk, and then the namespace is not needed. Another cool feature when working with variables is that you can use the with keyword. So if we use the with parentheses, inside here we can use the variable name, and then we can assign a new value. So for example, for the primary we can have it blue, and for the secondary color we can have it as yellow. And that's a cool way to reassign the variables after you import them. But bear in mind, you have to go inside your variables and try to use the default operator, which allows you to reassign them. Perfect. Let's go back to the button component. Oh, we forgot the namespace. Let's add it. And for the last part, we're going to include mixins. So I have a file called mixins. Let's try to find it and load it. And there I have a single mixin called centerflex, and I'll try to include it. Let's use a namespace. And that's how you can work with variables and mixins with the use operator.